So what do you love about being a marketer, working in marketing? What sort of big thing do you love about it?
Um,
Or
I
several
think,
little things?
well, I was going to say it's more about the little things. So
Hmm.
I think it's always a good day if you have a little fist bump. You know, you see something that you took a punt on or an
Yeah.
educated guess on come off, or even if you have, and these are going to happen, moments where things don't work, it's being able to learn from them, impart that knowledge with your team, and kind of build on it to get it right the next time. I think the beauty of working predominantly in a digital space is you can very much confine your errors. So, you know, whereas surgeons, for example, can't afford to get stuff wrong, we do have the luxury of being able to experiment a little bit with what we're doing.
Yeah.
So much of what we do is unknown, particularly as your user base is changing daily, the platforms they're using are changing daily, and the environment in which we're marketing in is changing by the second. We're able to have a bit of a play with things, to be able to kind of determine that sweet spot.
Yeah.
So I think that's really an interesting part of what we do. I think on the flip side, that does come with the whole minefield concept of there is so much at our expense. There's so much available to kind of experiment with and try things out on, that it's impossible to know always that you're going entirely in the right direction. I
Yeah.
think I very much enjoy combining data with content, just to be able to know that our audience are in this place, they're interacting at this time, but then how do we talk to them best? And apply those two sides of theory and putting those into practice to hopefully get that response. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I think the difficulty is when, and this is something I'll say about my job and has always been the case, is the time constraints in being able to really get granular with that data and have a really deep understanding of why certain things worked. The time just isn't there. And if it were there, the work wouldn't be there. So it's also that, it's striking that balance between that kind of post-mortem of a campaign versus getting on with the next one,
Yeah.
and dedicating enough time to get enough understanding of your data and enough understanding of your user without becoming immersed in it as well. So yeah, as I say, it's a daily challenge to strike all of these balances right, and that's what I enjoy about it, because you do, in my role, get to take ownership of your work. You get to take ownership of what you prioritize and how you want to behave as a marketer.
Mm.
And you're answerable to your clients, but ultimately answerable to yourself, because the gratification that you gain are those fist bump moments where you get stuff right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a privileged position to be in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've always said about marketing and what we do is that it is different. Almost every day is different.
Mm.
I guess depending what kind of company you work for. Where I've worked, I've tended to work for groups of, so a company which has kind of several companies within it, which helps me get the variety that I want. It won't always be like that, and actually I started my career in NHS, which there wasn't as much variety to it. But even within health and public health, there was all the different aspects. There was the stop smoking and healthy eating and exercise and things. So I guess I've always lent towards roles that have that variety. But I think even if you don't work for a group of companies, I think the whole marketing minefield, there is so many options of things to try and to test and to research and to learn. I think it does keep it kind of fresh and exciting, and I guess that's why most of us do it.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't think I've ever met an introverted marketeer. Let's put it that way. We like those moments that we can tell everybody about, and I'm sure that there is a fair amount of ego amidst our community, as it were.
Do you think?
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess
I
there is.
do, and I know that a lot of people that I've come across that work alongside me in marketing are extremely proud of the fact that they work in marketing, despite the fact that actually, and you touched on this before, a lot of people in the wider workspace don't understand or necessarily appreciate the value of the marketing team. So
Yeah,
I think it's important that we continue to be proud of the work that we do. We don't necessarily get the same reward that a sales team would get in terms of hitting their targets, but we supply those leads, we supply those opportunities, and we need to continue to recognise that we hold an incredible amount of importance in keeping our businesses or our clients going. whether it be from a brand awareness perspective. We may not necessarily get an instant return on that, but remembering that throughout that funnel, that will ultimately convert into either sales or engagement, and all of those things are extremely important in keeping businesses and clients thriving. So it's about always remembering that even if we're not getting those immediate little wins in the same way that a sales team would get, or a development team would get, hooray, this works, congratulations, we actually have an extremely important role in that process of converting a product into a sale. So it's just remembering that all the time.
Yeah. Actually, to go back to what you said, I think that's interesting, the introvert-extrovert thing, because I would say that in life, I am an introvert naturally, but I think maybe working in marketing and maybe feeling the need to remind people, hi, we're here, marketing team are here, we can actually do some quite good stuff if you give us the chance. I think maybe I've become accustomed to shouting about the things I do against my nature, against my kind of introverted nature, and maybe that's why I'm doing things like this, as well as to kind of, this is something I've wanted to do for a while, but and not had the time, whereas now we've got a bit more time at home. But maybe all of this is part of that, reminding people marketing is important, and we know our stuff. It's just we need to have some freedom sometimes to do things like this, I guess.